I'll give you two examples. One where I completely bombed it and totally missed it, because I think those are more sort of interesting. Because it's, you can always talk about, oh, I did this right. And if for the things that you missed it, you will not really learn and improve. One on that, and one I was different from the crowd, and I end up being right. The crowd being wrong on why I think that. Start with the second one. And this was the question on Turkish presidential election back in 2018, I think, and whether it would result in the first round or not. Was kind of the question. And there was a lot of comments within the forum that was going on when I was forecasting the question. I was around 90% saying that it will result in the first round, and Recep Tayyip Erdogan will be the president. And a lot of pushback comes from, well, this is what the polls suggest, and no, this is how it goes. And, yeah, so a lot of very rational arguments. My approach was different, partly because I thought the way I approach it was not so much what are the objective conditions under which to go one way or another, what would the poll say, etc. But what are the incentives for Erdogan to make sure that things didn't go in the second round. Given sort of the whole history, my argument is practically that he cannot afford to lose, and he cannot even afford this to go to the second round, given the whole corruption and the political oppression debates and everything else that goes on in Turkey. So it's not your grandmother's election in essence. This is a guy who cannot afford to lose. And therefore, he would do everything in his power, legal or illegal, to maintain that. So the results will be, whether they are accurate representation of people's will or not, results will be as such that he will win in the first round, which turns out to be the case. But my approach was more of, rather than, and this is an interesting aside, rather than your outside view, which is typically what argues for your base rate, is how these things have been general. This is a very inside view. And I think the useful lesson there is those are guidelines when you move this. It's about keeping that balance and knowing when you need to shift towards the inside, when it is different now. Right? If everything follows the mean, if everything reverts to the mean all the time, there are no surprises. But the point is identify conditions under which you need to, you need to focus on the inside more than the outside. So in that particular instance, it was beneficial for me to focus on that rather than overall. When you look at these the question that I really sort of completely end up missing. One that primarily comes to mind is to do with the North Korean. Yeah, the Trump Kim meeting. Will it happen or not? Which happened in Singapore. And there, for example, I was swayed by the crowd. And my initial thought was, while Trump was a showman, he liked to do that, he probably would. So my initial forecast was, but then I engaged with people, read their arguments, and go, no, it's not going to happen. It does this, and the defense department does that, and given the conditions over there, they're all flaky and would not go. And so I steadily decreased my forecast, because I was convinced they're right. Trump wouldn't be able to pull this off. And up until the last minute, it almost shows that that's not going to happen. And I was like, yes, it flipped over, and we all got a horrible briar score out of it, because we were putting like, I don't know, 5%, 10%, that was happening, and then he flipped the table. Again, that is a good example of how it's looking at, again, balancing inside versus outside view, and your own sort of way of thinking with the crowd engagement. I should have stick with my own, because my primary framework approaching high level political decisions tend to be very individual centric because of my background in political psychology and interest in how decision makers react. So I should have stick with, okay, this is how what we know about his personality, his modus operandi. The chances that he would try to pull something off should be more than your average American president. And I sort of suppressed that inclination and went with the crowd because I was convinced their arguments were completely bombed out. But that again gave me a sense of where I need to correct and what I need to change.